there are surveys, you fill in the survey, and then we can get a good idea of what is the burnout level of a particular nurse or a clinician. But what we tried doing is very, very simple set of things. Creating a collaborative environment on Teams and on using Power Apps, where we put in ideas that what can we do to prevent the burnout rather than trying to push in information to them after the burnout has occurred, right? So that was one key decision, which we were trying to take while selecting and prioritizing use cases. So there were like close to 12 to 14 ideas that we could put together, but then we started clubbing them together against the difficulty and the value matrix. And looking at the time in hand, we thought that picking these three areas is the best way to move forward for the maximum impact. And the thought process was that when nurses are actually working these long shifts, there are a couple of areas which are like which, if treated correctly, will bring the maximum impact. One is, of course, around when nurses are on the floor. They are actually worrying about a lot of emergencies which are getting checked into the hospital, for which they don't even possibly need to worry about, right? They're already taken care of. To give you an example, let's say there are 3 heart failure patients who checked in at a particular time in a big hospital, and 2 of them are already taken care of. But if I'm a nurse, I might worry about, there are 3 heart failure patients. But can we create a notification center and send out alerts which can be easily checked by all these nurses, that they don't need to worry about emergencies that are already being taken care of? That was like the first key area. The other 2 key areas are shift and calendaring, because we all know healthcare professionals work long shifts. So how can we make that entire process more transparent? And finally, how can we keep them motivated through a regular dose of information? So these are the three key areas and our thought process behind creating a Teams channel and a Teams-based solution in which a Power App is embedded. So with that, I'll hand over to Gabriel to walk us through quickly, and Curtis, over to you if you want to add something more.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, so just starting with the Power App that we just mentioned. So we made a pretty bare bones one. It would show essentially who had posted what was happening. It would show the issue. So using our example, instead of all, 3 heart failure patients on the floor, maybe 1 out of 3 heart failure patients is unattended and needs attendance. So then we have the status bar that when you are creating a new item, you can have needs assignment or in progress or it's completed, and then when it was posted. So pretty simple, but just a better way to kind of condense the efforts and make sure there's not additional stress where it's not needed. And we did this through a Power App added to a tab in a little Clinician Community Portal that we made. So there's also this Shifts tab, which I'll go to. And I loved seeing this because I have never played around with it before. So it was super eye-opening to me. But we made kind of an example calendar, so you can put out how many open shifts there are with this app. So in this case, we just did 2 shifts per day. We put in a few people. And there are a few things you can do. You can obviously select who's getting the shifts. And then there's also this tab for requests. So if you would like to swap a shift, you can start a new request and you just put in the shift that you have right now. And you are able to see someone else's calendar and request if you would like to take their shift instead. And then it'll say pending. So that's one, I guess, cool feature that this had. And then to kind of double back on that, I'll take us back here first. I know that was kind of a quick breeze through, but on the general tab of kind of this Teams community that we wanted to create, if you wanted to go a step further and communicate with someone, you could use the Teams tab to then say, hey, Diane, have you seen my request? Are you able to take this or not? Because there isn't really an option for dialogue within this Shifts app itself. So just an extra layer there. And then also just to have this page, I mean, you could really use it for whatever you wanted, but it's just kind of nice to have an open spot for nurses and clinicians to communicate if necessary. So that's that. And then I think Curtis will chat about what we did on this.
And so, yeah, they helped to keep the employee morale going well and everything. We've got the daily motivations here to help on the burnout as well. And they've added the bulletins area for a bulletin board. But they can come into the daily motivations, see any announcements, for example, the company picnic this Friday, go into the bulletins to look at any accolades or any kudos that they wish to give out to the individual. So you'll see here the different employee appreciation days, resources to go in for feel good meditation notices, etc. So
yeah, so really just to make this kind of like a one size fits all spot for a nurse or a clinician to say, hey, I want a little morale boost, or hey, what's going on the floor, what's actually going on versus just seeing, an alarm pop up, and to understand that, and then just have an open forum for discussion while using this Shifts application to aid kind of how their workday is going and what their schedule is going to look like. I don't know, Vishwas, if you wanted to add anything else, but.
Yeah, but no, there were a couple of other areas that we thought of talking about. One was sending out department-wise alerts through the Power Automate, which is a really important feature, because that way nurses assigned to a specific area need to be notified, and not everyone. The other one was integrating it with Headspace for mental well-being, and and getting that small doses of either motivational music or something like that. We tried adding Headspace over here, but there were some connection issues. But that is also something which is another area. Talking about a little bit around calendaring, calendaring is like one of the key area where there is a lot of if unrest is the right word among the clinician community, because transparency is not there, right? They want to have that transparency, that how many hours is a put, like if I am working a 12-hour shift, what is working hours looking like for rest of the team members, right? And what is the general trend, and also providing a direct data channel, so that they can take the data back to their managers and say, see, I have this calendar in front of me, I'm really overworked, right? And you need to really bump up the capacity or do something around it. So that calendaring would have a significant direct impact is something which we wanted to mention, and creating that direct channel of putting in requests, getting them approved, a workflow sort of thing.